As a service provider, if you really look at it as one, as a service provider, we get at least we purchase goods. Can you take VAT credit? We cannot take VAT credit, no? So now it is happening it out. It is not something, it is one. Whatever tax paid at the previous stage, credit it is available. There is some restrictions, I will come to that afterwards. One. First, conceptually you want to understand, this is called multi-stage tax, value-added tax. There is something called a seamless credit is available across the chain till it reaches the customer. This is what an example of, actually what you call it as a concept of GST. This is what the way that is going to be introduced in India. Anywhere the credit chains breaks, the meaning thereby, there is going to add the cost at one level. Suppose the wholesaler gets an exemption. Let us take the wholesaler gets an exemption of what? Take an example, he is in a composition scheme. He is not doing more than 50 lakhs. Because currently in the model GST law, they talked about those are doing actually 50 lakhs. Across India on all its locations, 50 lakhs is only allowed for a composition scheme. He said, okay, I will do composition scheme. When he pays 800, he has to pay, I know what percentage comes, we are not sure about what percentage will come there. He has to pay, but credit is not available for that. Whatever he paid for the manufacturer, we talked about 120, that credit is not available. Whatever tax paid is not available as a credit for the retailer also. So in a composition scheme, what is going to happen? There is no credit. So what I say that if credit chain breaks, it adds the cost at the back end, it is one. So that is the reason there is necessity for a credit is one. What is goods and service tax definition as such? This is what defined in the constitutional amendment now. It is talking about tax on supply of goods or services or both except taxes on now if any of your event, if any of your organizer, it also include liquor, then you are going to be in two situations. Because we talked about catering. Though even currently also for liquor there is a higher rate it is available, even catering may also. Now for at least liquor it is going to be there in the catering, the liquor will be treated separately and will be covered under the normal existing taxes now. The remaining thing will be come under GST. This is one complication. Who are at least anywhere if you are having any of it, especially who are a supplier, at least combined thing you are having it out, a component it is going to be a liquor, alcoholic liquor for human consumption, that has to be treated separately, not covered under GST. GST definition, the goods definition does not include alcoholic liquor for human consumption. This is an important thing to note it, depending upon how you are organizing it out this one. If that is not an area of concern for any of who are not supplying any food and all things, not an issue. Okay. When you are talking about what are the central taxes getting subsumed, excise duty, various at least additional excise duty, service tax, central sales tax, conditional, these are the various central things are going to cover. State, VAT, entertainment tax, some of the events, if you are organizing it out, entertainment tax was there, that also getting subsumed. As well as entry tax, luxury tax, octroi, all these things are going to forming part of the GST. Now, that is called as a CVD, what you are talking about, equivalent to excise duty. I'll touch you upon the import, I'll tell you what is going to be there or not going to be there. Now at least there is a question regarding cess. What will happen to the cess? Whether they will do actually 14 plus 0.5 it is there, are they going to continue or not it is. Though by law, if I really look at, they are not given anything very specifically whether they will continue or not continue. Again, GST Council will decide that. GST Council is going to decide basically on the state level of cesses, and cess will not be there. State level cesses are not going to be there. Most of you are not at least know actually what is the state level of cess is there. There are only selected actually goods where the cess is available in states. That may not be there. Whereas central says you can take it at least for the currently, it is not going to be brought in now immediately, they will not bring it out. Do they have power? Still, central has the power to levy cess on this. That power has not been completely diluted. So, to mean that it is one, what is the cess which they are going to subsume? R1, that will also be decided by the GST Council. It is. We talked about at least you are a service provider or you are a trader. Okay, when you are selling the goods, whether transfer of right to use goods means a dealer, registered dealer. What in GST? We are all going to be one. What? What is that one? We are going to be supplier. There is no service provider, no trader, no manufacturer. It is going to be a supplier. Why? What is taxable even? It is called as a supply. You saw that goods and service tax means tax on supply of goods or services or both. Now you should understand what is the meaning of supply. Supply is having a wider meaning. I think this concept alone, if I want to talk, it will go for almost for minimum about 6 hours, which I am not intended to read it out. I will try to tell you. Basically, you know there is something called supply. It includes all forms. Either you talk about lease, barter, exchange, whichever model you talk about, it is one. Everything is covered. Now,
transfer means property also.
When you talked about, okay, you have touched on another area which I will explain to that also. It is okay. When you say that it is one, though they talk about all forms of supply of goods and services such as sale, transfer, barter, exchange, lease and all those things, he asked a question is one, but it should be in the nature of goods or services. And immovable property, is it goods? Goods, they have defined it out, something called all movable property. What is the definition of service? Other than goods. So what does it mean? It can also cover immovable property. Though that is not the intention, but it has been kept it as one. The service definition is wide enough. Probably they will make this amendment will be the amendment. When the law they bring it out, they will try to exclude that very specifically. Otherwise, if the same way the law continues, even sale of at least a house or sale of a unit, that is a commercial unit, that also can cover as a service. So service means it can be, GST can be there. So supplies for consideration is the one. Next question is regarding about, I will just touch upon something called supplies without consideration alone. Another area is called supplies without consideration. This is deemed as a supply. What do you mean by that? Is there any impact or that not? There are various items that I am going to talk about only one single item, that's all it is. When it is transferred from one state to another state, that is, by one taxable person to another taxable person or non-taxable person also, it is going to be a supply. You say there is no consideration. That particular schedule itself is meant for without consideration. That is, schedule 1 talks about it is when you are going to supply of goods or services from one taxable person to another taxable person or non-taxable person, it is going to be a supply. There is no need for any consideration. Then on what value you will pay tax? We are going to have that. That is one of your major concern is going to be that. If you have various equipments and other things, you want to move from one state to another state. There is a stock transfer. We had a problem of weighbill and all those things. Now that problem is not going on, but